Got any
Yeah.
closing thoughts?
No. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're all kissing and canoodling while watching us.
Oh, I don't know. That kind of makes me
No.
feel
Yeah,
weird.
it's kind of very weird, actually.
You
I
guys-
retract my previous statement.
And that's the intro for the episode. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome back to another episode of Horror Remakes with my co-host, Scott Harding from the You Run Podcast.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome back.
Yeah. As always, it feels like forever since we've recorded.
No, every time it's like amnesia. I don't even remember.
Yeah, what do we actually do? What are we talking about?
I know. And then it's like right before I was like, I'm gonna have to look at our previous video. We're like, no, we're pretty sure we know what it is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we think we know what we're doing.
Yeah, it's all an illusion. Yeah, so today we are talking, obviously, because it's Valentine's Day, because this episode is going out on Valentine's Day. We are talking the 2009 horror remake of My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, and let us know if you're watching this with your other half and you're having a romantic evening watching Me and Angel in the comments. Or if you're alone and watching us in the comments.
We love you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh man, that's a perfect date night watching us talk about this remake. Are you kidding? Come on.
We should get this on DVD and then people can gift it with flowers and chocolate. Flowers, chocolate, and us. Yeah, and us.
Oh God. Okay, so all right. So what do you give this? What's your rating for this one out of 10?
It's really hard. There's so many bits of this that I really like, and then there's a couple of elements that just make me want to bang my face against a wall. It's probably a 7.
Okay. That's such an interesting contrast of feelings.
Yeah, it's such a frustrating, because they do a really good job with almost everything, and then there's just this veneer where the CGI guys got so happy with his paintbrush, and there's certain scenes where I'm just like, oh no, stop. You don't need it. And I know it's because they made it for 3D, but
yes,
I'm not watching it in 3D. I'm watching it at home, and it's not the same.
Yeah, that's going to be one of my biggest complaints about it too. This is a 6 for me. I think it's pretty entertaining. I didn't really hate like the cast. I thought the cast was fine. The changes in the story worked for me. It was a little faster paced, which I did really like, because the other one, it takes a little bit to get to the stuff that's going on. But yeah, the 3D element is hard for me in a lot of movies. Particularly, like, I think it's fine for like Final Destination, because I go see that in theaters to see it in like 3D, and that's fine. But like, even my first watch of this, I was just watching it at home. So I never saw it in 3D. I just saw the the regular version, and the stuff that they set up to do for 3D, it doesn't translate well into just like a normal view.
No, because they go really balls to the wall with the 3D. So it's a case of the things come all the way and almost fill the entire screen, and it's a really bad like CGI limb or CGI piece of flesh. And
yeah.
I imagine in 3D that was brilliant, because it probably come right out to here. But yeah, not so great in 2D.
No,
cast is great. I really like the cast for this. There's not a single one who I thought was a bad performance.
No, I don't think so either. I think like when this came out in what, like this was 2009?
Yeah.
Supernatural was going on in 2009, right? That show's been on for like 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was that kind of like peak Jensen. Like this is when everybody was like, like really into him. So like,
Yeah.
I think that's like, having him was probably like a really smart move. We talked about this with another remake that we did as far as like casting choices for the time. But I also think he did a really good job. He's really, compelling as Tom. And even the guy, I don't know the guy's name, but the guy that played Axel, I thought did a really good job. Yeah, I thought the cast was really strong on this one.
Yeah, and I would say it's probably down to the cast, especially the Supernatural cast member they picked, why this done so well at the box office.
Yeah, Jensen
Because this,
Ackles. Yeah.
because this was well over, I think it was a $17 million budget, and it was well over 110 million worldwide gross. So they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, yeah, they definitely did. That was intentional because that's like, yeah, I don't know what year Supernatural came out, but I know that like right around the time it was like picking up a lot of traction, he was in a lot of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Specifically
really
him.
I like the concept of the miner as well, and I liked it in the original, but I actually prefer. I think they do the miner better in this than they do in the original. The miner costume and I like the concept of that whole costume, and I like the pickaxe as a weapon. It doesn't happen. There's no other movie that has that, and I like that.
Yeah, and definitely not exclusively. Like as far as I think what I thought was cool, and this is such a small thing, but it's like I don't know, it just like it impacted me when I was watching is the shoving it up so abruptly to break the lighting. Like I know that seems like such a simple thing, but it was effective because you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, and he's brutal with that pickaxe as well.
He is.
There's a couple of scenes where it's the scene where he attacks the woman and she tries to hide behind the bed or
Oh,
the frame, and
yeah.
then when he gets through, I was kind of like, "Stop! You got her. You've got her now. You don't need to keep going. She's dead."
Yeah, this is definitely way more brutal than the original as far as
Yeah,
the kills and stuff go. And then like and to your point, they do use it in some versatile ways because there's even like I even thought it was like funny when like he's coming through the window and he snags her in the front of the shirt and like yanks her forward is like pulling her. I was like they didn't just stick to swinging hits. There were multiple things that were done with this that were a little more creative, I guess. So it didn't really get dull as far as a weapon choice.
no, and the pace of this is so quick as well.
It's very quick.
There's no letters. You get that kind of lull at the beginning, but that lasts for that kind of almost backflash scene, and
Yeah.
then after that, it is all
Just
go, and it
yeah.
doesn't stop.
Yeah. That was one of the things I wrote down in my notes was the things that I wrote like because I had to rewatch this because I hadn't seen it in a really long time. And that was one of the things I wrote down was like that I was like really dug how much faster it was.
Yeah,
I mean, because like a lot of stuff, especially with like my favorite subgenre being like found footage, I obviously can sit through something that takes time to build up, but sometimes like fast just works better. And I think for what they did with this film, the fast worked. I think if they had too much focus on the people separately from the kills and stuff, I don't think it would have been effective overall or as
no,
effective anyway.
no, I don't, and I don't like the original.
Oh, I
I'm
love
not.
the original.
I'm not a fan of the original for that reason because I find it
It's slower.
painstakingly slow, especially the first third.
Yeah, the first third is the slowest for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the
Whereas
original.
this, I I wouldn't say I hate it. It's not as good as this.
When you say that, I don't really believe you. Like, it's the way you say it. You're like, I don't hate it.
Yeah, well, if I had a choice of watching that or Seed of Chucky, I would watch that. But it's not in.
Well,
It's
thank
not in my.
God, because I would be
Yeah,
really annoyed if you
uh,
felt differently.
it's not in my top 50 or probably not in my top 100 horror movies. The original, I don't like it.
No, it's probably not on a top list for me either, but I did enjoy it. I rewatched it, I don't know, the original like a couple weeks ago. One because we're doing this, and then I also have an episode that I review the original with somebody else. And so I was like, I definitely hadn't seen it in a long time, but it had some fun things too as far as kills. But yeah, this one was just like, and I don't remember because it's been a while since I like can even think about when I saw it for the first time. I don't remember what my thoughts were on the killer, because I think I thought like when I went into it originally, I probably assumed it was going to be the same person. Once you get the
Yeah.
character names, you're like, oh, okay, well, like I know who the killer is going to be. And then they do a couple of misdirects, but obviously they ultimately ended up going in a very different direction. But I'm glad. I think it's a good thing that they changed it, because then you
Yeah, I
kind of
do.
get comfortable with the predictability, but then you're like, oh no, maybe not. Like it kind of changes half at the end of it.
Yeah, and I think that's important we've said this on loads of episodes. It's important for remakes to capture
Yeah.
the essence of the original, but still do their own thing.
Yeah.
Because none of us want a beat for beat recreation of the original.
No.
We'll just watch
No.
the original.
Yeah.
Um,
Like why
one of my
remake it?
Yeah, why remake it if you're going to do it exactly the same? And I
Yeah.
think one thing you can taste in this, and I don't know if many people know, is you could taste Sam Raimi's hands all over this,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Sam Raimi was an advisor on this movie, so
Okay.
he didn't produce or anything like that, but he gave advice to director and producer. And
I
if
can
you
see
look
that.
back at, could you see it now? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
something that I was really surprised at. So when I started doing research into it, it's like Sam
Hmm.
Raimi come on and was like, I can't think what he was. He was like an unofficial consultant, or they were filming nearby at the time, and he was just
Oh.
poking his head in and going, have you thought of doing that? Which I thought was a really cool little fun fact.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I can see that, because I think there's times where I probably thought something along those lines watching it, as far as maybe influenced by, or, one of those kind of things. But yeah, I didn't know that. And honestly, it probably, who knows to what extent, but probably seriously helped what make this good, because who knows what it would have looked like otherwise.
Yeah, I'd say what it looked like though. There are some bits that look really bad. The kill on the porch is just take away the CGI, and that is probably the best kill in the movie.
Yeah, but it kind of gets a little ruined because of the way it looks, and yeah.
It turns almost into like in like the old Roadrunner cartoons where you get like Wile E. Coyote sees a girl coyote and his eyes like pop out like this. It looks like that, where the pickaxe goes through his chin and pokes his eye
And
out, and
pokes
it all
the eye
goes.
out.
And I imagine in 3D that looked great because it went woo, but it's not great. And it's really it looks really cartoony as well. It looks
It
very,
does look very cartoony. Yes. Yes, it
very,
does. That's very
very
true.
much like The Mask, the kind of animation you get in The Mask.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. Yeah, I do think the setup for that kill and the kill itself was really cool, but you're right. It loses some oomph when that happens, because you're just like, And
Yeah,
I think like, because one of the other scenes that they did, obviously that would have been like way more effective in 3D, is the chunking of it into the windshield of the truck, like in the beginning of the movie. But I think
oh,
that's like
is
one.
that where he throws it?
Yeah, and it just
He throws
like
it and
goes
it
like this,
comes.
and then it gets like right in, like right here on
Yeah,
her. It doesn't hit her, but it almost hits her. That part is like one of the few scenes that was definitely developed for 3D that I didn't lose too much for me. I thought that, because it, like you said, it takes up, when they do the 3D moments, they take up the whole screen. It's like a big
yeah,
zoom in. And that was still kind of like, that one still worked, but it's one of very few with the effects and it being made for 3D that like didn't lose a lot of its like effectiveness because it was made for 3D and it wasn't in 3D.
yeah. And I don't have a huge problem with CGI. CGI, I've got an issue with when it's overused, but used in the
Yes.
right way, it can be really, really good. And I think this, if someone went over this movie and retouched
Mhm.
it for a 2D release, it would make it look 100 times better. Because
No, it would. I agree with that.
it wouldn't take much to tone down the visual effects now.
No, I agree with that. I think my other thing with the other thing for this that loses points for me is I don't really care for like mental illness tropes. They're like one of my least favorite things in horror. I don't like they're crazy, so they're the bad guy, or it's really them because they're going through, like, I really struggle with that. I just don't like the way that that's presented most of the time. Very few times have I seen that work in a way that's helpful. And
Yeah.
so when you get to the part, because up until a certain point, it's very much still trying to sway you back and forth between if it's Axel or if it's Tom or if it's whatever, and you don't know who to trust and like whatever. And so, but then when it gets to the part where it like releases like all of this information, and you're like, okay, we got like the full picture, we know everything that's going on. I was like, I didn't like that.
The thing is, that can be done really, really well. And it can be done really, really
Yeah.
subtly and without ramming it down your neck. And I think part of this was because of the pace it moved, it was a case of they went, we need to explain everything.
Yeah.
How long
Yes.
have we got to explain it? What, 3 minutes? Right, okay, let's go. And it was a case of everything was explained and it's just kind of thrown at you and then they move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's one of the problems that all fast-paced movies have. When they need to do an exposition dump, they tend to just literally dump and run.
Yeah, which I usually associate with slashers in general because they're notorious about doing that shit where they don't tell you anything the whole movie and then you just get all this information and your head spinning. You're like, what the hell? And you don't know. But like the other, but I also think too with this story, the way that they built it up, I don't think it was needed.
No.
I think if you took that out and you just made him the killer based on what had already happened previously, I think that you can build a story around him and not wanting to be in that town or having animosity about being in that town and working in I think there's plenty of other things you could have built up around that where you didn't even need that piece at all, which also would have left out the info dumping. You wouldn't have needed it.
Thing is, I don't know what everyone's problem with that town is. It's a lovely little town. I'd be happy to live in that little town. It's nice, it's peaceful, everyone knows each other. You've got little local shops, you've got a bar. What more do you need?
Small
No,
towns give me the EBGBs. No thanks.
you're not a fan of the small town vibe.
No, because what are all of the horror things that we watch and love about? Small towns. I pay attention.
Yeah,
I make a lot of living.
I think that small towns pay for that to be done in horror movies, so no one moves to their nice small town.
No one can ruin it.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's to keep all us city folk out.
That's great. I mean, you might be right. It might be like a conspiracy. You know what I was thinking? This is such a dumb thing, but I thought this was silly. She like goes to the store and he like Tom shows up and she's like, I've got to open. He's like, we got 15 minutes. And I know it's a small town. I know that. Okay. But in 15 minutes, they were able to walk to that bridge or wherever they were, have their little chat, and she was able to walk back in time to open the store for the day. That's reckless. I was like, seriously, like 15, give me a break.
Yeah, the thing is, if it pans back enough for you to see, the bridge is only like 12 steps away.
2 steps from the.
Yeah. They literally crossed the road and turned left and it was there.
That's it. Oh, yeah. I think, I don't know. I do like this. I do think it's fun. It's certainly not one, that and you know what I will say? I was going to say this earlier. I forgot. I actually remembered or thought I remembered not really liking it on a first watch. But of course it'd been a long time. So I was like, I definitely need to revisit. And I'm glad that I did because I did like it. Like I do like it. And if I had like not gone back and watched it, I would have talked about how much I didn't like it, which actually wasn't true. Because I just, for some reason, I was thinking I didn't really like it, but I did think it was really fun. I love the bodies in the hospital scene. I loved how good that looked. That looked amazing. It was very unsettling. The very Freddy Krueger conspiracy thing where they're like the family, the dads all went out and like buried him and killed him and like the whole thing. And like, I liked all of that. Like, I thought that was fine, but yeah. And the kills were good. Most of them minus the like 3D stuff. So I was glad I revisited it though. Cause I, for some reason thought I didn't like it, but I do. I think it's a fun movie.
I think we've all got movies like that. I definitely have. There's movies that I've gone, I hate that movie. And then I watch it and go, oh, I like this. There's the same as there's movies where we know so much about them or we've heard so much about them and we're convinced we've seen them. there's movies like that as well. Creep was one of those for me. I was adamant I'd seen Creep, and
Mhm.
then when we done it on the show, I was like, I've not seen this. This is really good. I like this.
Yeah, I feel, and I've had some that have been the other way around, where I thought I remembered really enjoying something,
Hmm.
and then I go watch it and I'm like, oh, maybe not. Like that's happened to me too, especially because we watch so much of it. That's part of it. Like part of it is
Yeah.
we watch horror and stuff like so much that sometimes it gets like lost in all of the other shit that we've watched as far as remembering, and then if it's been a long time since you've seen it, but I've had it go that way too, where I thought I really liked something and then I watched it and I was like, oh, nope, not really.
Yeah, and I think especially for likes of you and me and Mark, because we all do this all the time,
Yeah.
we tend to also dive into, let's be honest, the really trashy, rubbish horror movies that no one else watches. And if you watch
Mhm.
10 or 15 of them back to back, you're convinced that 2 or 3 of them were good, and they really were.
That's a good point. You know, I
If
was just
you
because
watch,
I do found footage Fridays every Friday. So we've been watching, like, I watch found footage constantly. And I like that's my favorite subgenre. But the the slew of found footage movies we have been watching, I'm like, I don't want to watch any more found footage movies. I was like, these are so bad. I just am like dying for something good. Like something I need something good. And that happens to me with other subgenres or other horror movies too. Is like I would try to catch up and I watch a bunch of stuff and it's all either mediocre or flat. And I'm like, why am I even doing this anymore? Like,
the thing is though, if you watch 10 2-star movies back to back, and then you find a 4-star,
you're like,
4 out of 10, you're like, this is amazing. And it's really not. It's not until you then watch a 10 out of 10 and go, that was bad. Why did I like that?
you're just so glad it wasn't a 2.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think I'm glad I revisited this one. I mean, I like slasher movies. I think they're not like it's not my favorite. One of them is my favorite, but the rest of them I could leave or take. But I think that like this one was pretty good as far as like a remake for the original. I mean, it's got like we said already, like it's got enough of the old with enough new that it just it worked pretty well for me. I liked it. So
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, it's a pretty unoffensive movie. It's the only decent Valentine's horror movie, really. There's a couple of others, but this is kind of the go-to, I think, for most people.
you didn't like the other one? What's the other one? Just called Valentine
Just Valentine, yeah. It's
with
again
David
another one.
Boreanaz?
Yeah, another one that I just find a bit. It's okay.
Liked it. Well, I
Yeah.
say that I could rewatch it and not. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I may have just liked it because he was in Buffy. That's very possible. Like, full disclosure.
Yeah, the movie was terrible, but he was in Buffy. Five
Yeah,
5 out of 5.
I don't know about that, but he definitely like. Did you know she's going to be? She's got a new show coming out on. I think it's Paramount. Wolfpack.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Uh,
Teen Wolf
how?
Part 2.
Yeah. Do you think she's going to be able to? Because I think the goal with that is to recreate the what happened with Buffy. I don't see it happening.
No, I think the time for that has passed.
Yeah. The problem is, I think if you were to do anything with Buffy now or try to recreate Buffy, it simply wouldn't work. There's simply too many additional things you would need to add into the plot and the story to bring it up to modern times that the plot would become too convoluted and it would just fall apart.
Yeah, and every time they talk about redoing it because they've been doing that for years, teasing, oh, we're going to write it and we're going to do it. And I think the other thing is a lot of what I've seen when I read these people talk about different people talk about making it is you can tell that there's just like a we don't know what we want to do, we just want to do Buffy, and
Yeah.
I don't like I feel like that's not really a good place to start because it's like you should probably at least have a concept that you then are like, oh, this would make like this could be a really great Buffy storyline, sure, maybe, but like to just go into something because you're like Buffy has a following, we should redo it, like I hate, like I don't think that's the right place to start.
No, it's we could make a lot of money. How do we make this happen? Is the worst place to
Exactly.
start a remake. The worst
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's where 99% of remakes do begin.
This made a lot of money, so we would like to redo
We
it
would like
and
to
make
we would
everybody
like to
mad
make this.
after we make money.
Yeah, it's like slightly off of horror. I heard the other day Warner Brothers are toying with the idea of completely remaking Harry Potter with a brand new cast.
I heard about that too.
Yeah. I have no words for that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not like a big Harry Potter fan anyway. I mean, I
No,
am
nor
like
am I.
I like the movies, but I really love the Beast ones. But I think that yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like it's fine that you want to make money off of something, like don't we all? But like to be such an obvious cash grab when there's like no reason, there's no need, there's
Yeah.
no call for it. You know, if you wanted to do something with and I'm not a really big, JKR fan, but if you wanted to make something that's in the universe, it'll still make you money. It doesn't have to be a redo of the original. Like enough people are going to pay to see that shit. Like it can be about anything you want it to be about in the same universe,
100%. And that universe has got such a big following. You could do, I don't know, you could make a TV series about Dobby the elf, and it would be the biggest TV series released for years.
I agree.
And to be fair, I'd watch a series about Dobby the elf. I love
I
Dobby.
know. Me too. I cried at the theater when he died. I was really upset. Yeah, because I didn't read the book, so I didn't know. Everyone knew that was with me, but I was the only one that didn't know.
Oh
But yeah,
dear.
yeah. But I think, obviously we enjoy remakes, so we keep watching them anyway. This one was a good one. I don't have I was fine with this one.
Yeah, there's no big complaints. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's one that I'll rush to watch again and again and again. But if it was on, I wouldn't turn it off.
Yeah, and I think too the good thing is like you can watch this. This is on. What did I watch it on? Tubi, or maybe it wasn't Tubi. It's streaming somewhere.
Mine was
So I didn't have to
Prime.
pay to watch it, which was also nice because paying to watch a 6 out of 10 is like a very different feeling than watching a 6 out of 10 for free.
Yeah, I did pay for this. So this was a Amazon Prime one in the UK, not free. I had to pay for this one.
Good thing you gave it a 7.
Exactly. I think that's why you got an extra points out to pay for it.
That's actually why it's not higher.
Yeah, I had to justify the money I spent.
I think that's it. That's all I got for this one. You got any closing thoughts?
No. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're all kissing and canoodling while watching us.
Oh, I don't know. That kind of makes me feel
Yeah,
weird.
it's kind of very weird, actually.
You
I
guys.
retract my previous statement.
And that's the intro for the episode. Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, so, if you want to watch this, it is streaming. And if you're a horror fan, I mean, this is kind of a go-to for Valentine's Day. Anyway, right? So, so that's all we have for this episode of Horror Remakes. Scott and I will be back next month with another one. So, Happy Valentine's Day. Hope you guys have a great week and a good weekend coming up, and we will see you in the next one.
See you later.